want to share is, if you're renting a home right now and you feel like, buying a home's not for you, or, whatever, I guess, fears, misconceptions you have about buying a home. The one thing so you're going to be paying someone's mortgage anyway. The question is, are you paying for your own mortgage or paying for the landlord's mortgage? And true story, this is someone I know, who their whole adult life, they were almost their whole adult life, they were renting. And they were renting an apartment in, in the suburbs. It was an affluent suburb. And back then it was affordable. You could, rent, you could buy on a middle class salary. Well, what happened was, they lived there about 20 plus years, and that community, that town built up, it developed, it became really high in demand, where like only the richy rich could like really live in that neighborhood. And this person, they continued renting. And then at the end, when they finally retired, they had nothing to show for it. They'd probably given like 100,000 to the landlord, to the property management. They had nothing to show for it. And if they had bought a home like 20 years prior, they would have been sitting on probably like at least $1 million of equity. I guess what I'm getting at, it's like the number one path to wealth for most Americans is in real estate. In fact, is it Carnegie who said something like 99% of millionaires make their wealth from real estate? There's another saying I've heard, which is, don't wait and buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait.
And then if you're worried about the debt aspect, Dave Ramsey, this is a quote that I have on my signature line. Dave Ramsey, even though he hates debt, the one debt he will get behind is your mortgage.
Yeah, I've seen that on your email.
Yeah. I love that quote because it's just kind of like, I sell debt, yes, but I help you manage the debt you have. I teach you how to manage the debt you have, how to, make that work towards getting your scores up so that you have the best possible deal whenever you do, whether it's a refinance or a purchase or your next purchase. I'm going to help you get to be in the optimal situation to purchase. One of the things, going back on our earlier part of the conversation, one of the things I wanted to kind of like touch back on, we've got our media really trying to make it look like we're going into a mortgage crash or a housing crash again. They don't understand the data.
Mhm.
Well, they're not mortgage professionals, and that's why they don't understand the data. Sale or that, just real estate professional, any of us, sales volume is low because owners aren't selling. That doesn't mean a crash. It just means that we have to strategize. We have to figure out what we need to do to get more buyers in homes and make you understand that now is the time to buy. We're not just saying this because it's a transaction in our pocket. We're saying it because it's real. Your opportunity is limited. As time goes on, and you are not doing anything about it, you're not buying, you're not getting ready to buy. If you go and get ready to buy once you hear it in the news that the rates are going down and business is picking up, you're too late. Because if you have some challenge working that I have to tell you, we need to do this and this before we can get you ready, every month that goes by that we have to get you ready that we didn't do before, it is time you're losing and less opportunity that you're going to have with that seller paying for your closing costs, because that's one of the first things that's going to go away.
Yeah, and adding on to that, a lot of buyers, like it's exciting to go out and go shopping and look at homes and go on showings. Like no one wants to do the hard part. Sorry, Deanna. No one wants to submit all the financial docs. You can tell the nitty gritty and talk to a lender.
It is hard. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It is. It's not fun collecting docs and stuff like that.
No one wants to do their homework.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the fact is, I've seen happen where, I had someone earlier this week, and they found their dream home. They fell in love with the home. They didn't have a pre-approval, and so I know you were working late and on the file, just trying to get them pre-approved, but
because we are on a timeline, we had a deadline.
Yeah, he had another buyer making an offer, and it turned out there were things that couldn't be resolved in time, and he ended up losing his dream home. So, and like people forget about things. There can be things in your credit history you forgot about that come back to haunt you.
Mm-hmm.
Or misconceptions. Like you may think, oh, well, I can pay this much in rent each month. I can pay this much in a mortgage. And there's different kind of regulations and requirements.
Well, and there's also a lot of, if you look online for information, just consider the source because you'll have an installment debt an installment company say, "Oh, well, get an installment loan and build your credit." Well, yeah, they want you to pay interest. It's not going to do anything for your credit. I I do an analogy between credit and the tortoise and the hare, where credit cards are the hare and installment debt is the tortoise. It's slow, maybe a point a year. You don't get the credit for paying those equal monthly payments like you do a credit card. You'll get a little bit of a benefit from it, but it's not going to work in your favor. Where if you get a credit card, your score could in 1 month jump 20, 30, 40, 50 points depending on what you have on your credit just by getting the credit card and putting a $10 balance. Get a tank of gas, use it as a tool. Don't go shopping with it. Use it as a tool and just pay it to $10. Don't pay it off because you're looking at probably 5 to 10 points just by having a little bit of a balance on there. If you put no balance, then you're losing that 10 points that you have. And it could be even more than that, depending on what else you have on your credit. But the goal is really, or what I'm trying to say is, starting 6 months ahead of time is smart. Don't worry about getting your credit pulled. Anybody that tells you online, don't get your credit pulled, they're worried that you're going to shop them. So they don't want you to get your credit pulled elsewhere. So I'm not worried about that. You can have your credit pulled and you're going to end up finding out that I can confidently say now, after a few years of trying to find a good solid home, that here at Rapid Mortgage, I am definitely well situated to give you the best possible deal out there on rate and pricing. But seriously, 6 months. Just give me 6 months because, I might have to update your credit after 4 months, but we're probably going to need to do a little bit of work because almost everybody, 80 to 90% of the population has something on their credit they didn't know was there or they forgot about, just like you said. I'm going to help you get that fixed. I'll take the time. That's part of the reason I do this. I want to help as many people as possible.
I've definitely seen at least 2 cases now where a buyer wanted to go with the new home construction's in-house lender because they offer that teaser rate interest, and those lenders don't take the time to, work on the file. So what I found that these people, they don't get approved, and then
They very well could have been approved.
if they just took the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it could have been a matter of knowing the guidelines better. And I'm not going to sit here again, talk about another entity or whatever, another institution.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that, when they've got a lot of applications coming in, they're going to take the ones that they're going to cherry pick because they're easier. You can work them faster. Well, my passion is helping people and their passion is working for the builder. It's a little bit of a shift in passions. So definitely try it at the minimum. At the minimum, 4 months. If you think that you're within a year of buying a home, maybe wait 6 months, and we'll see. But I mean, you can go as far as a year out. I don't mind. I don't mind making sure you're ready.
What are your thoughts on the Fed chair? I know you said you're talking about it earlier and how that's going to affect 2026.
Sure. We aren't expecting rates to move until we see a change in the Fed, but it depends on who gets in that position. And right now we have 3 up for grabs, and the one that's like the front runner is the one that's going to help us and be a little bit less restrictive. What that means is when inflation isn't doing perfectly that perfect 2%, maybe it's 2.5 or 2.3. He's not going to be as strict on whether or not he's going to lower rates. So that's the one we want. Hopefully we get him. We've got a couple of other ones in there. One's more closely Powell oriented, which is restrictive as can be. And then there's one kind of in the middle. So we've got 3 up for grabs. In May is when they choose the next Fed chair. And while here's a misconception. The Fed does not directly affect mortgage rates. A couple years ago, we saw it happen where Fed dropped the rates in September, rates went up. It doesn't exactly follow the Fed. The 10-year bond does that, and a couple other factors like like jobless claims, new starts, as far as new job starts. Those are direct gross domestic product. Those are direct effect on mortgage. So those are the things that I watch out for when I'm looking after you, because that's part of my research on a daily basis is making sure I know what the 10-year bond is doing. I know when our reporting comes out, our financial reporting for the U.S., and of course when the government is not in a shutdown. So we know what to expect the rates to do. But the 10-year bond is my go-to. It's what I look at daily to see when to lock a rate, what we're expecting in the coming weeks. But another thing to think about is that when our market is very emotionally run. So when you see the Fed come out and talk and say, oh, well, we're thinking about, dropping rates next month, the market's pricing it in. What that means is the rates drop ahead of time. They're not dropping when the Fed makes the announcement that they dropped the rate. So if it goes our way and the Fed drops the rate, great, because it's already priced in. But if they don't, then we have a correction and rates go up. So, it's just a very precarious, especially, and it's been since COVID that it's been like this. It's just, we are so wanting rates to come down that the market wants it so badly that they price it in without having it. It's like, it's like credit. You go shopping and don't pay for it until later. It's a similar concept, which I wish it would go back in the day way it was, where we were like at the edge of our seats. What is the Fed going to do? And then the market shifted. But that's not the way it is anymore. We just need our rates to be lower so that we can get more affordability. But affordability is also in the strategy. So, if somebody takes the time to look at your file and say, hey, you know what? We can move a little bit something here. We can move a little something here. And we can get you into a higher house. Or being with a company like mine, where our rates are notoriously lower than retail lending rates, like your general local lender rates, ours are lower. So I'm going to be able to get you into a higher cost home, just for naturally being where I'm at, the company that I'm at.
So, in May, I guess, or maybe a little ahead of May, what do you think would happen to rates?
It's going to be dependent on who gets put into place. Yeah, and it's so hard to say right now because there's 3 people that they're looking at. So we'll have to revisit that in May.
Any idea, like, what kind of range? Like, what's the highest? What's the lowest it could be?
I don't really have that right now because it's just so up in the air on who's going to get it. Like I said, the front runner he's the favorite right now, and he's the one that's going to lower rates. And I think there's a little bit of even though they're not supposed to be political, I think there's a little bit of pushing going on in his favor. So we're really hoping that it's going to be that one particular person that's going to drop the rate. So we'll wait to see in May what happens. But I'm leaning towards he's going to get it, and we're going to be able to start to see some relaxing on policy. So we can start to see a little bit easier. Right now, we've got rates into the 6s, high 5s, depending on your credit score.